Have you ever found yourself sitting on the couch, staring at the empty bottom of a bag of chips, just wondering, why is it so incredibly hard to stop eating junk food? Look, if you have, you are absolutely not alone. Honestly, feeling guilty about this is probably one of the most common struggles we face today. But what if I told you that struggling with this isn't a moral failing? There is zero lack of willpower going on here. We're going to look at the actual biological reasons why we crave these foods, and way more importantly, how we can regain control without a shred of guilt or shame. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're exploring a highly memorable, brilliantly simple framework for navigating modern nutrition. This comes directly from the fascinating book 12 Steps to a Good Life. We're going to simplify healthy eating by looking really closely at what the author calls CRAT food and a quick mental checklist known as the 6 C's. Our goal today is to cut right through the noise of that massive $50 billion diet industry and give you some actionable, entirely shame-free tools to reclaim your health. Okay, let's dive into this with Section 1, the survival instinct trap. To really get a grip on our relationship with food, we have to look back at our own evolutionary biology. We need to understand why our bodies are literally hardwired to crave the exact things we're constantly told to avoid. Think about it. Ancient humans lived in an environment of extreme scarcity. Stuff like sugar, salt, and fat, those were incredibly high-value nutrients, but they were super hard to find. So when our ancestors actually found them, their bodies basically screamed, "Eat as much as you can right now because we don't know when we're going to find this again." And if they weren't actively looking for food or, running from a predator, they rested. Saving energy was absolutely paramount to survival. Now, fast forward a couple of million years to our modern reality, we still have those exact same survival instincts, right? But foraging for food is now as effortless as opening the refrigerator. Running from danger is just a fast walk across the street. We are perfectly tuned for a world of scarcity, but we live in a world of effortless abundance. It's a massive mismatch. Which brings us to Section 2, Beware of Crap Food. This introduces a rather insidious modern problem. The food industry knows exactly how our ancient biology works, and, well, they actively exploit it. This is where we need to be on high alert. They do this through what the author calls crap food. Yep, it stands for calorie-rich and processed. The source material defines ultra-processed foods as formulations of ingredients, mostly of exclusive industrial use, that result from a whole series of industrial processes. Just think about that for a second. These aren't just foods. They're cheap, highly profitable industrial formulations engineered specifically to hijack those natural survival instincts we just talked about. They completely bypass your body's natural, "hey, I'm full" signals and trick your brain into wanting more and more and more. So the absolutely crucial point here is this. Eating a lot of sugar, salt, and fat actually makes you want more sugar, salt, and fat. It's a biological feedback loop. Often, we find ourselves eating for emotional reasons, right? Sadness, boredom, frustration, maybe loneliness. And we turn to these processed foods for a quick comfort fix. But because this kind of food can never actually satisfy our underlying emotions, we just keep eating without ever feeling truly full or fulfilled. But here is the fantastic news. The source text highlights a really powerful reversal. If you actively reduce these ultra-processed foods in your diet, you actually begin to crave them less over time. I promise you, the cycle can absolutely be broken. Section 3, the 6 C's to avoid. Now, what's really interesting about this next concept is that it gives us an instant mental filter. You really don't need a super complicated diet plan or some fancy app to track every single macro. You just need a simple rule of thumb. To simplify healthy eating, the book uses this mnemonic to help you quickly identify ultra-processed foods that should be avoided. The 6 C's stand for cola, cookies, candy, cake, cereal, and chips. Let's break that down real quick. Number 1, cola. This includes sodas, energy drinks, and heavily sweetened fruit punches. 2, cookies. 3, candy. 4, cake. And be super careful here because this also includes cake-like items, things like muffins and donuts that often masquerade as breakfast. 5, cereal. Specifically those highly sweetened box breakfast cereals. And 6, chips, meaning literally any kind of highly processed salty snack chips. If you can just scan your grocery cart for these 6 C's and start swapping them out, you're taking a massive, immediate step toward much better health. It's so incredibly important to remember this awesome insight from Dr. Sarah Shah featured in the text. We should disconnect the idea of being healthy from the idea or goal of losing weight. When you focus honestly on the scale, you just get trapped in the diet cycle, and that almost always leads to feelings of shame and failure. Popular culture tells us that health requires extreme effort and total deprivation. But the truth? Your goals should be holistic vitality.
When you pay a little less attention to your weight and simply focus on eating healthy and taking care of yourself every day, weight management actually becomes so much easier. It's about a healthy lifestyle, not a restrictive diet.
Moving on to Section 4, 2 practical eating tools. So, we know what to avoid. Now let's talk about proactive daily habits. How do we actually reconnect with what our body needs? Well, the book provides 2 highly effective methods. The first tool is the hunger scale. This is just a subjective assessment of how physically hungry you are, ranking from 1 to 10. A 1 means you are dizzy, weak, completely starving. A 5 is totally neutral. And a 10, that means you are overfull, physically uncomfortable, and just super lethargic. By simply pausing to rate your hunger before you eat, and then checking in again while you're eating, you force yourself to be mindful. You might suddenly realize, wait a minute, I'm at a 5. I'm not physically hungry at all. I'm just stressed out, or thirsty, or tired. It is a brilliant, totally free way to distinguish physical need from an emotional craving. The second tool perfectly complements that hunger scale. It's the Japanese concept of hara hachi bunmi, which translates to eating until you are 80% full. Keeping this idea in the back of your mind basically prevents you from ever reaching that super uncomfortable level 10 on the hunger scale. The author notes that once you practice this a few times, you realize that being slightly hungry is not fatal. In fact, occasional slight hunger, instead of being constantly stuffed, can actually make you feel more alert, a lot more motivated to get things done, and just much more in tune with your physical body.
Let's move to Section 5 and see how this builds into our final strategy: ridiculously small changes. Because knowing what to do is one thing, right? But actually getting our brains to cooperate, whole different story. The source text describes our unconscious mind as an 800-pound gorilla. It wants to do exactly what's safe, comfortable, and familiar. If you try to force huge lifestyle changes all at once, that gorilla is going to fight back hard. Your mind will just say, nope, this is too hard. The secret here? Ridiculously small changes. I mean it. Eat 1 single carrot. Drink a glass of water. Do just 1 stretch when you wake up. Do 1 push-up. Or simply march in place for 30 seconds in front of your computer. These actions are so incredibly simple, they slip right under the radar of that 800-pound gorilla. They bypass your mental resistance entirely, but structurally, they begin creating brand new neural pathways in your brain. They literally condition your unconscious mind to start enjoying positive change, which completely sets you up for massive long-term success.
So here is my big question for you as we wrap up this explainer. What is one ridiculously small change you will make today to reclaim your health? Seriously, you don't need a massive overhaul. You don't need to feel guilty about the past. Just pick one tiny action. Maybe it's passing on the cola today or doing a quick 30-second march in place. Just take that one single shame-free step, try practicing the 6 C's, and watch how it transforms your life.